Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the session. Great. So, how are you all doing? Doing good? Okay. So, the weekend is here already. It's Friday, and we are back with the last session of this week. Throughout this week, we have been practicing questions for the upcoming UPPSC exam. And I hope this series has helped all the aspirants out there of the exam. So, with that being said, let's start our session tonight. Please do like the session. And now let's get started. So let me start by sharing my screen. Yes. I hope the screen is visible to you all. Yes. So welcome again to our UPPSC exam practice session 8. Are you all excited for the new questions today? Great, that's lovely. Now let's get started. Here we go to the first question for tonight. In ruins of a great house, how does the poetic persona's stance toward the colonial legacy best unfold? So what is the speaker's attitude toward this project of colonialism? What is the speaker's attitude towards the project of colonialism, as we have seen in this poem, Ruins of a Great House by Derek Walcott? I hope you all have understood what the question is asking. So what is the speaker's attitude like towards this project of colonialism? As we have read in this poem, Ruins of a Great House by Derek Walcott. It cannot be complete rejection, a very extreme term as it is. Complete nahi hoga, it is very extreme. Pure admiration, though, absolutely not. How can Derek Walcott purely admire the horrors of colonialism? So, no. He shows a conflicted response, combining a resentment of oppression with a reluctant cultural inheritance. So, his attitude towards colonialism is conflicted. He has dilemmas of his own, as we have also seen in his equally important poem, A Far Cry from Africa, set against the Mau Mau rebellion. He is very conflicted about his attitude towards this project of colonialism. He has his internal dilemmas because he comes from a mixed descent, and hence he is divided in his views. So he is very conflicted. Clear? I hope all of you have read this poem already, right? It's next. In the famous aesthetic discussion, which is university classmate Lynch, Stephen Dadulus adapts his theory of art from medieval scholasticism. So it's a question from James Joyce's novella, A Portrait of the Artist as a Young Man. So which philosopher does Stephen Dadulus specifically credit for the definition of beauty as ad pulcritudinem tria requirutur? Which medieval philosopher had inspired Stephen's theory of aestheticism, Stephen's theory of beauty? Tell me. It is Saint Thomas Aquinas. We see that Stephen Dadulus was inspired by the theory of Saint Thomas Aquinas. Okay, right. Next. In the prologue of the play, A Dance of the Forest by Bole Soinka, the dead man and the dead woman, they rise from the soil to disrupt the gathering of the tribes. What is their primary symbolic and thematic purpose in the play? So, what is the structural function that this prologue is serving? What function is or what purpose is served by this waking up of the dead man and the dead woman from the soil and this disruption of the gathering of the tribes by them? What is the reason behind it? What function is it serving here? It is to expose the moral corruption of the ancestors and dismantle the romanticized idealization of pre-colonial history. They're telling or they're exposing that the pre-colonial history of this place is equally problematic. It's not a very innocent history that we are looking at here. So this disturbance exposes the equally problematic pre-colonial history of this place. All right, okay, next. When Marlowe and Hastings finally arrive at the inn, there is a Hardcastle mansion in Oliver Goldsmith's play, this comedy, She Stoops to Conquer. They demand a specific meal that Mr. Hardcastle finds preposterous. What meal was it? What food did they order? It's a textual question. You need to know the text really well to answer such questions. And since it's a PSC level exam, it won't be a surprise if they ask you such textual questions. Right. Because since they have mentioned certain texts in your syllabus, they expect you to know about these texts quite thoroughly. Right. So tell me, what meal was ordered by them? It is calf's brains and prune sauce. Marlowe and Hastings had ordered calf's brains and prune sauce. Okay, right. In Bertrand Russell's Science and Values, which of the following best describes his view on the relationship between science and moral judgment? What is the view of Bertrand Russell on the relationship between science and moral judgment? Tell me, what does he think of it? He says that science is ethically neutral regarding the ends it provides. Science only provides knowledge of means, but not deciding values. So Bertrand Russell says that science is neutral regarding the results it provides. It provides you with knowledge which is neutral, and science does not decide values. Okay, right. Next, in the introduction, Location of Culture, Homi Bhabha argues that the post-colonial perspective demands an intellectual shift. from universalist grand narratives to what? So if you are doing a post-colonial reading of a text, if you want to understand this project of post-colonialism, what intellectual shift does it demand from your side? Pure preservation of indigenous cultural origins, ये तो नहीं हो सकता. Again, extreme. Complete assimilation, no. Binary opposition, no. The marginal spaces of cultural negotiation and enunciation. The marginal spaces, the marginal voices that were long silenced and sidelined, those voices, those spaces need to be accommodated. And only then post-colonialism can be sort of successful in its agenda. So post-colonialism is about an intellectual shift from universalist grand narratives to an accommodation of the marginal spaces of cultural negotiation and enunciation. Okay, right. What is the precise metrical and stanzaic structure of Shelley's To a Skylark? A very clean, factual question it is. Tell me, what is the metrical and stanzaic structure of Shelley's To a Skylark? I hope all of you have read these poems by now. It is 4 trochaic trimeter lines followed by an iambic hexameter rhyming A, B, A, B, B. This is the stanzaic and metrical pattern of Shelley's To a Skylark. Okay, right. So we are starting our West Bengal Assistant Professor interview course. So if you want, you can join us. We will be giving you extensive and intensive sessions on interview skills. Our aim is to make you experts of 8 areas crucial for any interviews in literature, with literary theory, cultural studies, literary analysis, literary history, speaking skills, everything. So if you wish to attend the upcoming West Bengal Assistant Professor interview, you can join our course. Okay. And we have already given you numbers on the screen. You can contact us in these numbers. Okay. Right. Now, in Toni Morrison's Beloved, Tetter's horrific act of infanticide is primarily motivated by which specific event that shatters her perception of enslavement? Tell me, it's a very important question. Tell me, which event shattered Tetter's perception of her enslavement? It is what? It is the theft of her breast milk by school teachers' nephews. Because this event made her realize how they see her as an animal, this pure objectification of Sete. Right? So the theft of her breast milk by school teachers' nephews. Please look up these works really well. Toni Morrison's Beloved is widely prescribed, and questions can easily come from these works. Okay? So please make sure you know the text thoroughly. Which of the following philosophical doctrines is most dominantly critiqued in the Lotos Eaters? The Lotos Eaters. It's a poem by Tennyson. So, which philosophical doctrine is this poem critiquing? Epicureanism. Because this lethargy that these mariners are laying in, they don't want to work anymore. They're happy in this dream induced state. It critiques the philosophy of Epicureanism. Right. Yes. Next. In Walt Whitman's elegy, when lilacs last in the dooryard bloomed, what specific historical tragedy or event deeply informs the black mark that hides the star in the cruel hands of the night? What happened which triggered this elegy, which triggered this gloom of the speaker? What happened that this elegy was written in the first place? It was written as a reaction to the sudden assassination of President Abraham Lincoln. President Abraham Lincoln was assassinated, and that triggered some very important elegies from Walt Whitman, like "Oh Captain, my Captain," "When lilacs last and the dooryard bloomed," right? In the poem "A Sunset of the City" by Gwendolyn Brooks, how does the speaker describe the transition of time regarding her children and their relationship to her? What has happened to the relationship between the speaker and her children? What has happened to their relation? What is the speaker saying? She's saying that her children have put her away like obsolete playthings such as marbles and dolls. The parent now has become useless, obsolete for the children. And so the speaker feels they have put her away like obsolete playthings such as marbles and dolls. Okay? Right. So that's all from our side for tonight. I hope you guys loved the session and you enjoyed answering these questions. Okay, so you can join our West Bengal Assistant Professor interview course. The admission is going on right now. Okay, and do enjoy this weekend. Stay safe, take care. It's summertime, so keep drinking water, stay well hydrated, and take care because your exam is coming up, right? With that being said, bye bye, take care. See you all again on Monday at 9:30 p.m. Okay, bye. And do have a lovely weekend ahead.